Buying a lakefront home is exciting, and today we're joined with lake expert and RE/MAX realtor, Stoney Green. Stoney, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so tell our viewers a little bit about your background in real estate.
Well, I've been at it a little over 22 years now. Primarily out in the Irish Hills area. Our office is in Brooklyn. I work RE/MAX Mid-Michigan Brooklyn office with Debbie Crownover. Been there 22 years, or been in it 22 years, been with RE/MAX 20. And live at the lakes, have lived waterfront my entire life.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that your whole life. Well, I did refer to you as a lake expert, not just because your background in real estate and your lake expertise there, but you also have a background in the boating industry?
Yeah, for years I owned sporting goods stores, and in the summertime I sold One Design racing sailboats and windsurfers, and we had a sailing school and rental on Clark Lake for a number of years.
Wow.
So I've sailed on pretty much every lake in this area.
Right, yeah, I knew you had a really extensive background, but knowing you grew up on the lake your whole life, that's a lot. That's awesome. Well, today we're going to chat really just about buyers that are looking to buy a lakefront home. You are really an expert, you know the ins and outs of a lot of the lakes in the area, but also you kind of know the things that buyers should be looking for when buying a lakefront home.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences. First off, you need to determine what kind of a lake you want. How busy of a lake, do you want? What kind of amenities do you want there, okay? One thing I always tell people, if the waterfront, the beachfront, the bottom of the lake in front of the house is weedy and mucky, it's gonna be weedy and mucky. You can spend thousands of dollars fixing it, but Mother Nature's gonna take back over and turn it back into a muck and lily pads. That's number one. The other thing that we're seeing more of is some of these lakes, your property line does not extend to the water's edge, and this is a key point, that you need to make sure your deed that you take possession of the property on gives you to the water's edge. Otherwise, somebody else may own your waterfront. Now, at a lot of the private lakes, the HOA owns the waterfront. You don't. You have the right to use it, but they do control it.
So we're really blessed living in Jackson County because we have access to a lot of different waterways here. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, first off, in Jackson County, we have a lot. I mean, you've got the Michigan Center chain of lakes. That's very big. Several different types of lakes, sizes, and types of waterfronts. Lenawee County is where I do more of my business. From our Brooklyn office where I'm located, in 15 minutes, I can easily show you 54 different lakes of different sizes and styles. And so one thing I always say to people is, let's look at what you really want. A lot of times I'll take them out and drive them around and show them lakes so that we can either put a smiley face on that one because that's one they like, or we can put a big X through it because that's not appealing to them.
Right.
So to narrow that down, that helps the buyer narrow down their selection, helps their real estate agent help them better. And especially now with the inventory so low, you may not be as fussy as you'd like to be.
Right, but I could imagine it would be good to locate the lake that you want to live on, or at least several lakes that you would consider, so that when a home becomes available, you're not then researching that lake.
Same with if you're going to be buying a lake house, have your financing lined up in advance too.
Yeah.
Figure out the lakes you want to choose from and then be prepared.
So there are a lot of rules. I've never lived on a lake. If I were looking to buy, I would certainly want to work with a realtor that knew some of those specific details. Well,
and it's important. I mean, let's say all sports lake. That's a very common term. People will say they want an all sports lake. Unless there is a governing body with a ordinance or regulation, if it's deep enough to float a boat, it's all sports lake. Now, I personally know of all sports lakes that if you were looking at a house with me, I can't in good faith tell you it's all sports, because it's really not going to be conducive to go water skiing, wakeboarding, or jet skiing on because of the size and maybe the depth of the lake. But unless there is something saying it's not an all sports lake, it's an all sports lake.
Right, so you'd be able to guide them based on their lifestyle, maybe to the more appropriate lake for them.
Yeah, we have a couple lakes in the area that are electric motor only. There's a couple that are no motors at all, not even electric motor. No wake lake, which is kind of a tough one. So people need to know these regulations, and they can be painful, especially in some of the private lakes with HOAs. You really need to know what the HOA is going to say to you if you want to do something.
Right, so the HOA, Homeowners Association, is that something you'd suggest a buyer see the rules for that specific HOA before considering that home?
I definitely would. Yeah, in all the lakes around that have HOAs will have full HOA rules and regulations on a website. You can review it online real easy.
Right, and that's going to be different for every lake. So even if you've got a cousin or a friend that lives on a different lake, the rules might be different where you're looking to purchase.
Oh yeah, every lake has their own HOAs that have them. Now, not all lakes. I mean, like Clark Lake, for example, has no HOAs. That's a public lake. Pretty much any of the lakes that will have an HOA will be a private lake, and the majority of them will be a man-made lake. Lake Columbia, Loch Erin, Lake Somerset, Lake Leanne. Those are the lakes that we have our strongest HOAs at.
Well, that's great information for anyone considering purchasing a lakefront home. It's good to know we've got an expert right here at RE/MAX.
Well, the key is right now, when you find the lake house you like, buy it, because there aren't many of them out there.
Right, right. Well, it's good to work with the expert right from the beginning then, so you know what you're getting into. Yeah, well, how can the viewers reach you if they're ready to talk about buying or selling?
Well, the best way is, you can call the Brooklyn RE/MAX office, which is 592-0100, or the best way to catch me is my mobile, and that's 517-206-5522. And that's pretty much glued to me all the time.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. This is good information.
Thank you.
Whether you're looking to buy or sell, give Stoney Green a call.